to, good timing. Now for the main event. The political smackdown between Susan Smith and, yes, Senator Ernie Chambers. I saw Senator Chambers last week on his show go on a tirade about Senator Jansen. Well, he did this also up at the unicameral, too. You just can't give that man a microphone. Give it an inch and he's going to take a mile. And most of the time it's just bloviating. And on some issues, he just is not up to speed on. How's that for representation? How is it for representation when you want to get in touch with them and there's no way to get in touch with them? He has a legislative aid, but no, he didn't want an email address. You know why? Because he doesn't care what you constituents have to say. But he told you that while he was running, didn't he? He says, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what's on my agenda and give up my hand. You know who else did that too? Hitler. Yeah, I checked out a DVD up here at Charles B. Washington Library. Love that place. Checked out a couple DVDs on Hitler, and gosh, there was Hitler making one of his campaign speeches saying, people come and ask me for a program of where I'm out on the issues. And I tell you I don't need one because I can do a better job than what's out there now. Chambers. So on your show, what I have a problem with is that you came right out and you said, you were talking about Senator Charlie Jansen, who is running for governor of the great state of Nebraska, and you said that he hates Latinos with a passion. Now I'm calling you on that because I know for a fact that he does not hate Latinos no more than anyone else who opposes illegal immigration. I don't even hate illegal aliens. I hate what illegal immigration does to our country and to its people. But I don't hate illegal aliens as individuals. I don't hate a murderer. But I hate what his actions did to somebody he killed and their family. You see, there's a big difference. And he's just spouting off what he hears the Democratic Party put out there. And you know, you really shouldn't, you just talk out of your, don't you? Now, let me introduce you to my lethal friend. I call him Ernie. And you're going to see this because Ernie is what? That's right. And you see what that is? Okay. We'll come back to that. I've been called many things since 2006 because I've opposed illegal immigration. When one opposes illegal immigration, you are defending this country. You are defending its borders. You are defending Americans and legal immigrants. And I will never apologize for defending those things. Now, if Senator Chambers wants to take that as hate-mongering, he can, but boy, that's calling the kettle black, isn't it, Senator Chambers? I hear you every week for the last couple of years. Last couple of miserable years listening to your show and to you running your mouth. How the white people are the oppressors. How they want to keep your people down. How you're anti-American, anti-military, anti-police. Is there anything that you're for? You like running your mouth. You like thumping your chest. You know what you are? You're 1960s retrograde. You are locked in this incubator time warp from 1960s. And while the rest of the world has progressed, you, sir, have not. You talk about voter ID. I would think that as hard as the black people fought for civil rights and to vote, that you would support keeping the integrity of our voting process in place. The only reason anyone would be against producing an ID in order to vote is because you want the illegal aliens voting. You want that voter fraud to occur because it works in your favor. I've got to have an ID to go get a library card. Who are you kidding me? Who cannot produce an ID card? And you're telling me, I think somebody's given an example of some 98-year-old woman. You're telling me that she doesn't go up to Lincoln or call Lincoln and give her situation, they won't make allowances? The majority of everybody else, if you're getting any kind of benefits or services, you've got a state ID or you've got a driver's license. Don't tell me you can't come up with an ID to show to vote. And why wouldn't you care? Are you telling me that after what the black people went through to have voting rights, you're just going to go in and vote and then let some illegal alien come in and cancel it out? Or some machine set up for voter fraud, you're going to let that cancel your vote out, your voice? Let's make things a little bit more legitimate. And then you had a bill come before you on Agenda 21. Oh my goodness, you made such a mockery out of it, didn't you? Thumping your chest, being the... Have you even looked into it? Do you even know about Agenda 21? Because I don't think you do. No more than I think you know about federal immigration laws. And by the way, Senator Chambers, well, you got your nose in the book. Why don't you crack open the federal immigration laws and see that it is the federal government who has named illegal aliens as a person who is in this country without proper authorization. Talk about illegal aliens. Like we've come up with this, somewhere we just made up the term. You don't like the term, you talk to the federal government, because it is in our federal immigration laws. Now let's get back to Agenda 21. We've only got a few more minutes here. So there's going to be more. This is only round one. And I've got plenty to say to you. So Agenda 21 is the United Nations, it's the name of a United Nations program called Agenda 21. The United Nations is the one who gave it that name. Now, Senator Chambers, you want to make it sound like it's all conspiracy theory and stuff. You really need to look into this stuff before you just open and start bloviating. And half the time I think the reason why the senators up there don't say anything to you is because they just let you talk because you just make a fool of yourself. They really don't have to say anything to you at all. You do that real good all by yourself. Talking about the Holy Bible. Only you call it the Holly Bible. Quoting and quoting and quoting from it. Shame on you. Every time you quote the Holy Bible, you liken yourself to Jesus Christ. It makes me want to vomit. Why don't you come on up to the 21st century? Why don't you get involved in the issues that are out there? You don't have a computer access, you don't know how to operate when you said. All you do is subscribe to what? Omaha World Herald, New York Times. And you listen to what, public radio or NPR? Yeah, you're well balanced, well rounded on all the issues, aren't you? Tell me one thing you've done to stop the drugs in this community. Tell me one thing you've done to keep the taxes down. Tell me one thing you've done to get the gang situation under control. Tell me one thing you've done to bring business into this district. I'm listening. Because every time we try to get serious and propose bills to stop the crime, to stop the drugs, to stop the gangs, you're right there opposing it. So again, it's a bunch of BS, isn't it? And that's all right, but just be honest. Be honest about it. Now, what I propose is that you and I do, maybe we could set it up as a fundraiser and the funds could go to the CTI studio. I think you and I need to debate. I think we need to debate on voter ID, gun control, and illegal immigration. Round one is over, my friends, but it's not the last one. I'm fired up and ready to go. Senator Chambers, you do know what a phone is, right? You know how to operate one of those, the dial. Call me. Let's set up that televised debate. For now, I'm Susan Smith. Thanks for joining me. Let's go ahead and roll that video.
We hear a lot about Marxism and socialism, and there are those, particularly in the media, who would say that we should tone down our rhetoric about socialism because we're not moving to socialism. Well, the reality is, I'm a Special Forces officer. I'm a Green Beret, and I've studied Marxist insurgency. It was part of my training. And the things that I know that have been done in every Marxist insurgency are being done in America today. The first thing that has happened when people like Fidel Castro have moved their societies towards Marxism is they've nationalized major sectors of the economy. Folks, that's what the bailouts were, nationalizing major sectors of the economy. The second thing they've done is they've redistributed wealth. We've heard enough about the redistribution of wealth. And in fact, the man that was appointed to handle Medicaid and Medicare after he was seated in the office actually stood up and said publicly that health care was nothing but a redistribution of wealth. The third thing that they do is they discredit their opposition. Now, I've never been so angry with my government as when a Department of Homeland Security memorandum went around to law enforcement all over the country saying that the future threats to America were right-wing Christian groups, pro-life groups, Second Amendment groups, and returning veterans. I'm still angry about that. But it never said Islamic terrorist. That's discrediting the opposition, the very groups that would stand up and protest the things that they see happening in our country. The fourth thing that has been done in the model is censorship. Now, it's kind of irrelevant with regards to the media because most of the mainstream media is already on the left and is already very much in favor of the things that we see happening in America. But the hate crimes legislation that has been passed is actually targeted at pastors. It's targeted at pastors so that they don't get up in the pulpit and talk about things like homosexuality and same-sex marriage, or about the realities of Islam and the danger that Islam presents to America. The hate crimes legislation is meant to suppress them, to censor them, which is part of the Marxist model. The next thing that was done in every society was that gun ownership had to be controlled. We hold the Second Amendment to be very important to us as Americans, the right to bear arms. But in a Marxist movement, you have to control that gun ownership. I don't know if you've seen it, but there has been a decree by the administration, by the President and the Secretary of State, saying that our President will sign the United Nations Small Arms Treaty, which is about how we will buy, sell, and control individual private weapons. Folks, that means the United Nations, an international body, will decide how you and I, as Americans, can buy and sell our weapons, how we control those weapons, who's authorized to have those weapons, and where they are. This is a dangerous trend, and it fits the model that societies have that have been used when societies move to Marxism. It should be a matter of great concern. Find out more about it, look at what's happening around you, and then get out and do something to help stop this. Use the constitutional tools that our founding fathers gave us. Let your congressman know how you feel about this. Be a pain in their neck by constantly emailing and calling them. Find candidates that represent your values